What happened to the mines of Moria, or should I say Khazad-dûm, after the events of Lord of the Rings? Now, if you have watched the movies, and this video will contain spoilers for the movies and the books, obviously, you will know that during the first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf fights the Balrog because in the lore, the dwarves dug too deeply and too greedily, and they unearthed something that was left over from the really dark ages. So if you think Sauron was bad, well, there was a guy called Morgoth, and Morgoth was like Sauron was like his little pet. Morgoth was like a demon. He was 10 times the power of Sauron. And he had servants. And one of those servants was the Balrog. And, during the events, even before Durin came to Khazad-dûm and started digging his mountain, the Balrog was already under it, basically. He had, went there. And essentially, the dwarves unearthed him, and then all perished. But, as we all know, Gandalf defeated the Balrog, and then Khazad-dûm or Moria was free. And for those of you who don't know, Moria was the name given to Khazad-dûm after the Balrog took over. So it was originally called Khazad-dûm, and it meant basically a mansion of the dwarves, like a very big mansion, like a very vast and, legendary, a good place. And, after the Balrog desecrated the dwarves, basically, right? He basically took them out. It was, called the Black Chasm, the Black Pit, something along those lines. Because, there was a Balrog there, and not dwarves, orcs and other unkindly creatures favored this place. Primarily because, they just wanted we see in The Hobbit, whenever, we have those battle scenes, you can see that Azog the Defiler has an orc army out of Moria, basically, and he goes back into Moria. So that was one of the periods where the orcs were taking over Moria, basically. But to really answer the question of what happened after the events of Lord of the Rings, after the Third Age, we have to really understand how this place came to be. So originally, it was just a mountain. And during the Second Age, Durin established a dwarven presence. He went to the Misty Mountains and he just basically said, "Yo, we're gonna build a city here. We're gonna live here." And so they did. They started building this vast city, this vast halls. They just started building Khazad-dûm. And, over time, when Sauron appeared, they sealed it off. And that's when their separation, their friendship with the elves ended. Is that during this age of when Sauron basically started terrorizing everybody for the first time, they basically said nope, we're just gonna sit in our halls, we're gonna dig our tunnels, but our doors are closed. And if you notice, in Lord of the Rings, we see that, the dwarves and the elves are enemies. They hate each other, save for Legolas and Gimli, but even those two at first are really against each other's presence. Essentially, the door to Khazad-dûm or Moria, to enter it, which is not the main entrance, it's I believe it's the first entrance. You have to speak the Elvish word for friend, which is Melon. And if you think about it, that means that at some point the elves and the dwarves were good friends because they made the secret entrance together. And the password is friend. It's not enemy. It's not anything else. It's not even, let's say, the dwarves got hold of elvish magic and they said, oh, F the elves or something like that. No, they said friend. So that's just purely shows that at some point they were friends. But as we all know, as they kept building, they kept digging deeper. Now, in the books and in the movies, it is said that they delved too deeply and too greedily, which I really don't agree with the negativity in that sentence. I think that it was just their life essence. It's like humans, we cut forests down, but we don't cut forests down because of our greed. More or less, we just need to cut those forests down for paper. We need to cut them for something else. So we are not destroying our planet because of greed, more or less just because we need that paper and those resources. And I think that's something that happened with Moria too, is that the dwarves simply, they simply just dug. That's what they did. It's not because they were so greedy. They already had all of the, wealth in the world. They simply just, that's what they did. They woke up every day and they just dug. It's basically just how we drink water, right? It's not crazy for them to dig. So, yeah. But basically, they unearthed the Balrog. It, destroyed him. La la la. We know, we know all that. But after the events of Lord of the Rings, the dwarves came back. Yep, they did. Although Gimli didn't return. As I believe, he stayed in Helm's Deep because there was a cave in Helm's Deep. I did read the books. I did read the Lord of the Rings, and I remember him talking in the Lord of the Rings about a cave with like vast gems in it. So I believe that is that cave. I think, but essentially, Gimli did not return. Uh, the dwarves basically took over this, city that was once theirs, and they just lived there. But it is not necessarily a happy ending. It's not like, oh, they lived happily ever after, because from what we know, they died out. Because essentially, if you don't know, Middle Earth and the Lord of the Rings, the whole just everything is basically Tolkien's way of imagining Earth's prehistory. So Tolkien imagined, I believe he made Middle Earth to be like kind of like England. So basically England before, everything. But as we understand, it's like just the whole world, right? So basically the whole world before, humanity. And, in essence, is that every magical thing started dying out. So dwarves, hobbits, wizards, elves, orcs, everything like magical started disappearing because the world was just it belonged to humans, to the human race. And in Tolkien's kind of like Middle Earth, it was just the prehistory of our world. So if you think about it, we might be living in Middle Earth. So yeah, so that's basically that. So it was just a happy ending. So the dwarves lived in Moria, they lived happily, but they did die out. Durin's folk did die out, and I believe Durin 7, the seventh Durin, was the last, returned and restored it, and they grew old there. Yeah, so that's basically the tale of Moria. I think that even after they regained it, Moria never saw its glory days the way they were before. The Balrog, which it's all right, but yeah, it's pretty okay. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. As you know, I haven't been posting a lot recently. That's primarily because I just don't have any ideas. If talking about lore and questions like this, it's really hard to like really figure out like, okay, what do people want to hear, and that's one thing. And the other thing is that I'm simply just trying to make consistent videos, and that's just hard in of itself. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, then don't leave a dislike, just comment. And if you really liked it, if you want to see more, then just subscribe. Leave a subscribe. Those are the most important to me personally. They help out the channel the most. So thank you. Live long and prosper.